Halloween is here and the spooky season as well. So much fun to experience while watching horror movies, getting scared at haunted houses. But wait, wasn't fear supposed to be a negative emotion, like the one that we would like to avoid? So why people enjoy being scared? Let's find out in this video.
You ready to solve a mystery, gang? Let's get to it.
Fine. I know that I'm late a few days, weeks, months. Never mind. This video has been actually written in October for Halloween. But life happened and I had to take care of some unexpected urgent issues. So I'm releasing it now. Hope you'll still enjoy it. Fear is considered as one of basic emotions and a negative one. And judging from the purpose of emotions, it makes sense, right? If you see something scary and harmful, it's quite useful to feel fear and thus run away so you don't get hurt. It motivates us to be prepared for such encounters and know how to avoid them. But if we wanted to avoid things that scare us, then why would anyone actively seek opportunities to feel fear, like through watching horrors or entering haunted houses? Let's see what research suggests. Most theories of emotion assume that individuals are motivated to seek and intensify pleasurable moods and emotions, and to avoid or modify unpleasant ones. Seems simple and plausible, right? Getting hurt by a scary monster would be unpleasant, to say it delicately, so it makes sense to avoid that. And that's what fear is for. You probably also can recall common problems we feel, like phobias and anxiety, like hippopotomo, like Google said.
Hippopotamonstrosesquippedaliophobia.
Such a long word for a fear of long words? What the heck? Anyway, people with such disorders experience fear very often, and they don't seem to enjoy it. So why would anyone actually crave for getting spooked? Let's start with basic evolutionary hypothesis. But no monkey business, okay? So what in the past could form us to actually kinda like being scared? Let's say we have a human, and that human suddenly meets a giant monster. I mean, it's more likely that it would be just a dangerous to us animal, but it's Halloween time, so let's use a monster to visualize it, no? Fine. Let's make a compromise and go with a werewolf. So the human notices the werewolf and subconsciously knows it's a threat to their survival, and thus feels fear. This danger cue tends to trigger a special mechanism, flight or fight response. It prepares our bodies to be able to deal with the threat through either running away, aka flight, or fighting it, aka fight. Duh! Actually, now it's argued that there's also a third option, that is freeze. But we can talk about it another time. Now it's fall and later winter, so it's too cold to discuss it. So when we encounter such a threat, our bodies must get ready for taking a very energy consuming action. I mean, it'd be quite difficult to run away and throw punches if our body was just relaxed and slow moving, right? So the flight or fight mechanism produces a rush of hormones that makes us faster and strong, and that gives some weird kind of high. Later, when the human succeeds in running away or fighting, they can finally relax. They don't feel in danger anymore, but still experience the released hormones that make them feel strong and powerful. And in addition to that, they just experience a success, so they can feel happy and proud about it. Like when you managed to catch that bus that was trying to ride away without you. And all of that, according to this hypothesis, could explain why we could actually enjoy fear. Despite first negative and threatening emotions, after defeating the danger, it leaves us with powerful hormones and a good feeling of accomplishment. So it's like we get a reward for a successfully completed challenge where we didn't get eaten by a giant monster. Yeah! But that's just an evolutionary hypothesis, so such an explanation isn't really satisfying. It's speculative, and I promise you that we will check what research has to say about it. So with that, let's go back to this hormones animation and look at it from neurobiology perspective. Okay, so when you feel fear, usually a hormone called epinephrine is released. Do you remember it from the previous video, where it also was involved in euphoria and anger? Yeah, now we're adding it to fear as well. So this hormone also triggers some kind of superpowers, which can wind your body so tightly for action that it can make you shake like a jello. There's no relaxation here, and triggers very intensive emotions. You might also know it as adrenaline, but now you know its secret name. In addition to that, fear also releases a hormone called dopamine that's also associated with pleasure. Maybe you've heard about it somewhere already, but this hormone actually is some kind of neurological reward to us and it makes us feel good. Like when you finish writing that annoying report. Of course, a few days before deadline, not just a few minutes before it, right? Anyway, dopamine is essential in conditioning responses to specific stimuli. Why would it be released when we get scared? Well, through conditioning, it may help you produce consistent fight or flight responses to things that you've already recognized as dangerous. This way, your body can get ready for dealing with the threat quicker and without fully recognizing it, as it was in the video with a cat running away from a cucumber. This combination of hormones tells us to pay extra attention to what we encounter, and apparently it's kinda addicting.
I'm addicted to you, but for some reason you feel. Baby, I'm addicted to you.
It also makes sense in individual differences, as people with fewer autoreceptors are more likely to seek out scary experiences. Possibly it's because they get more dopamine out of it than others, so more feel good hormones for them. However, when it comes to enjoying fear, there is a very crucial thing that usually needs to be present, and safe space. You can enjoy being scared and the hormones you get through that, but at the same time, you need to know that you're safe. Wait, how does this supposed to make sense? Isn't fear coming from the sense that we are in danger? Well, this contradiction might be explained in this way. First, you experience something scary, like a giant monster, and you feel fear. You believe that you're in danger because that's what your brain quickly detected. However, after you have a little moment to use your appraisal system, you realize that that giant monster isn't a real danger. Sure, it might look horrifying, but you see, that's just on TV screen or my reflection in the mirror. It's not actually here. It's not real. What a relief, right? So that's what is meant by fear in safe space. Although you experience fear as a first reaction, because of the safe space, you quickly get a relief because you're not in a real danger. Thanks to that, you can experience the hormone rush and the high from it without putting yourself in a risk of getting harmed. Kinda sounds like a scam, but it's actually true. By the way, if you want me to tell you more about how emotions work from neuropsychological perspective, let me know in the comments. Spoiler, there are actually two routes for that, the short route and the long route. So that's apparently why fear can be so enjoyable. I hope this video helped you understand what makes you have fun when getting scared. Please leave a like if you found this useful and what? You're still thirsty for more knowledge? I see, I see. Well, the issue is that there's not that much research on enjoying fear. However, there's more when it comes to horror enjoyment. I mean, it's usually the easiest to study the fear in humans by showing them some scary video. First, let's start with something simple. A theory that has been with us for ages, and yet is not that well researched. It's about catharsis. Sounds familiar? If not, let me introduce you to this concept. The term itself comes from the Greek katharsis, meaning purification or cleansing, and it's quite ancient. Its purpose was to bring about some form of positive change in the individual's life. Catharsis involved both a powerful emotional component in which strong feelings are felt and expressed, as well as a cognitive component in which the individuals gains new sight. So like heart and brain meeting together to power you up. What's the purpose of catharsis? Well, in ancient Greece, it was used in theatrical plays to arouse in the audience sensation of pity and fear, and to purge them of these emotions. This way, they could leave the theater feeling cleansed and uplifted, with a heightened understanding of the ways of gods and men. I guess gladiator games could have been perceived as a way to achieve a catharsis, too bad it required some bloody deaths. Okay, but what does joy from watching horrors has to do with this? Well, some theories suggest that vicariously sharing the horror experience by characters in the horror movie allows viewers to cathartically purge or validate their own fears. So similarly to the catharsis from ancient Greece, but without those gods. It kinda sounds like the motive from Purge horror series. However, you'd better achieve that catharsis by watching these movies, not actually doing it, okay? Before you start purging by killing other people, maybe we should move on to another theory, a bit safer one. It's called excitation transfer theory and was constructed by Zillman. So when you're watching a movie and see that your beloved characters are in danger, this excitement is supposed to ultimately create positive emotions. And the bigger the threat, the bigger the excitement, so the more positive emotions like pleasure and enjoyment. Wait, so it's enjoying your beloved characters being hurt? What is it? Some kind of sadism? Well, no. The pleasure comes from the slow decay of arousal and the common misattribution of arousal produced during the intense negative emotions to subsequent positive outcomes, such as a happy ending. So, actually, misinterpretation of what your body was trying to tell you. Confused? Well, in my previous video on what emotions are, I talked about an experiment with epinephrine, and depending on the cues from the environment, the respondent felt a different emotion, euphoria or anger. Remember? So in this case, while watching a horror, you can feel the excitement which is caused by watching your beloved character in danger. You feel their fear and suspense. However, when the character survives the threat, the emotional distress disappears, but the physiological arousal remains. So you still feel that excitement, but you see in your environment that everything is fine. This causes you to misattribute this excitement to positive emotions like joy or satisfaction instead of negative ones like fear. Think of that the next time when you're shaking and sweating on the exam. Maybe it's not fear or stress, but joy you feel as you can show off your knowledge. Yeah. The issue with this theory is that in order for it to work, your beloved characters need to meet a happy ending. And it's not always the case in horrors or life. Even this video won't have a happy ending. And yet, you can still enjoy watching the horror movies without happy ending. So, although this theory might be partially responsible for the enjoyment for watching horror movies, it's not enough to explain the whole phenomena. This excitation transfer theory is also closely related to, again, Zillman's disposition theory, where we enjoy films in which good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. It comes from an idea that the viewers make moral judgments about characters in a narrative, which in turn affects their enjoyment of the narrative. So you decide who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, and depending on what happens to them, you can receive joy from watching good characters win and bad ones lose. Great job, Thanos! According to it, while your beloved characters might not survive the movie, you can still enjoy watching it if the antagonists are punished. Enjoyment in this situation is dependent on the condition of a negative outcome for the disliked antagonist. When the antagonist is destroyed in the end, the pleasure and satisfaction that are obtained become even greater. So the revenge is served and tastes like great cold ice cream. Mmm, ice cream. Uh, where were we? Horror movies often show behaviors that violate the norms and values of the society, and this violation of norms arouses the curiosity and fascination of the viewers. It doesn't even have to be supernatural, because murders and tortures violate such norms for some reason as well. So, this perspective that horrors can offer us unusual, gore, or disturbing things that we don't encounter every day, and therefore make us interested or even fascinated. Unless you're a mass murderer, then I guess such gore views aren't that unusual to you. Some people suggest that watching destruction and graphic violence can provide a psychological relief, something like mentioned before catharsis. However, in this perspective, it's not about fear, but about socially unacceptable emotions. It suggests that horror fans have destructive antisocial tendencies, and sometimes they need to be let loose. Killing and torturing people is a big no-no in our society though, so such people could at least have catharsis through watching the graphic violence in horror movies. And in this way experience these taboo behaviors in the socially acceptable form, that is watching horror movies. And I suppose it's a better option than Purge. Does that make horror enjoy psychopaths? Well, I could make another video on why some people like horrors and some hate them, where I could explore this question. If you want me to do that, just leave a like and let me know in the comments. So, as you can notice, there might be various reasons behind loving to be scared or enjoying horrors. We can explain that through our neuropsychology and the way our emotions work. So that's why Halloween and watching horror movies can be so fun. Have you noticed how many fun and joyful events happen in fall and winter? Halloween, Christmas, New Year's Eve. And yet, some people get significantly sadder during this season. The cause of it might be lying in sad. Yes, the cause of being sad lies in sad. Duh! But for reals, SAD is an abbreviation for seasonal affective disorder. So if you want to know more about SAD and how you can fight that sadness during fall and winter season, subscribe and expect my next video about it. Have a nice day!